Welcome back to Bite Size Dentistry. Today we are doing something a little bit different. We are going to be doing a file review series where we are going to sequentially review every single endodontic file out there. Today we are starting this file review series with a file from Germany called the CCPremium by Bondent. Let's get to it. The first question I asked you is, what are the two properties that are common between an endodontic file and a gymnast? Basically, you need a strong core with adequate flexibility, and it seems to me like this is what CCPremium is all about. The file is manufactured by the mega conglomerate, the Bondent Group, which acquired UDC, which is the United Dental Group, that has been manufacturing as an OEM for several decades now for some very large companies. So basically, the actual file has a strong central core in an S-shaped design. Now, why that's unique is that kind of resembles the M2 from back in Dentsply's earlier days, which was an extremely successful file which had a good amount of flexibility, and that's what reflects in this file as well. Being S-shaped means that there is a lot of flexibility that gets incorporated inherently into the shape because there are less blades. On top of that, because there are less blades, there's a lot more flute space for debris removal, so it captures a lot of debris, which effectively balances out the time that's lost, because when you have two blades, you're cutting a little bit slower, but because there's a lot of flute space, you're able to capture a lot more debris. The system has wide radial lands which help center the file well into the canal, so it maintains the anatomy really well. In fact, what you end up finding is a 17-12% orifice opener, which is really sharp and helps negotiate even the very small orifices, so I found that really good. So the middle order of this series is formed by the 25% file, which is an intermediate sized file which really helps to provide like a gradual increase in the taper. You know, this system is all about how gently you instrument the canal, and this kind of intermediate size is an example of how that was their philosophy going into this. That's followed by the 25-4%. Now these are the ones that actually go and they shape your initial apex, right? So these are the files that are going to be going to the apex. The finishers are the ones that are 25-6%, which is your standard file, and on top of that they have a 34%. Some final thoughts. Let's talk about some great things about this file system. Number one, I found that it was extremely economical given that it's high quality of manufacturing and that it's backed by such a giant company. Number two, so the two-bladed design or the adapted S-shaped cross-section gives a whole different feel in terms of flexibility, which I'll highly recommend that you try out and see if it's your fit. It does mean that the files feel a little bit delicate, but they are slow and steady cutting, and as we know, slow and steady wins the race. Thirdly, I'm quite a big fan of having these intermediate sizes of 25% as well as the 17-12% and the 15-4%. Now these are files that you usually have to buy separately, and when you have them integrated into the set, you know that there's a very gradual taper, so if you just follow the system, you are probably not going to break your file unless you overuse it or instrument too hard. So it's worth checking out in that way. Whenever you talk about the pros, you have to mention the cons. So there are a couple of issues that I have with this file. Number one being that it doesn't come with a 36% file. Now I really enjoy having that extra taper with the 30 number file. I feel like it greatly increases the volume of irrigation, and that's something that I prefer personally. So in conclusion, CCPremium actually delivers what they promised. They promised a premium system that is easy to use, hassle-free. It has a well thought out approach where it goes from the orifice opener to the final file. Even the recommendations that it gives seem to be exactly what I used in the clinical scenario. This file is pretty good for moderate and severely curved canals, and I will highly recommend it for beginner level and intermediate level root canal practitioners. Hope you enjoyed our very first file system review by Bite Size Dentistry. Look forward to a lot more of these where we're going to be comparing files in order to find what is the best for you. Have a nice day.